Welcome in. Let's see, we just had got some new folks popping on. Excellent.
That was the chime that let us know that YouTube just showed up.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome out to another beautiful day of building business credit. Today, what we are going to be talking about is the step-by-step process on how to build business credit. Go ahead, screen with you, and that way you can take a look. But I am taking a look, and let's share this screen here. Hey, there you go. Can you see my screen? All right, so what you're looking...
Yes, I sure can see your screen.
Okay, so we are actually, well, in part of Wise Guys and Ties webpage, but if you go over to the Wise Guys and Ties webpage, this is our hub. This is where a lot of good quality information is. You can find out more about business credit. If you go up to any of the tabs here and you want to find out exactly what business credit is, or you want to schedule a consultation, you can also see what our clients say, reviews of that. Joseph Smith has written some amazing articles. You can find those here as well as a very useful page, our frequently asked questions, where you can really see if any of the questions or concerns that you have about business credit are answered here, which most likely they are. And if for any reason they're not, we need to get it on there. So the other thing that we got super exciting, we got our business credit builder book, how to actually go through and build the process of business credit, but something that you guys got to know about, the credit banking book, the search for the lost American dream. This is literally years of expertise and knowledge that's been jam-packed into this book. Right now we're taking pre-orders, which is really amazing because it's only $59.99. You get the audiobook, you get the ebook, you also get the paperback copy in September when it comes live. Plus you're going to get bonus files, you're going to get the digital materials, you're going to get spreadsheets, so much stuff. I mean, the value is literally blowing out of the water. You can just get it right there and then there. And those will start shipping out September 1st. All right. So what I want to talk about today is the step-by-step process of building business credit. I'm going to go ahead and log in right here because the easiest way and the fastest way to explain how to build business credit is simply just to walk you through the process of what we actually do. Now, so Joseph and I, our days get kind of hectic and crazy. And so what we have now had to do is our office manager, she's responsible for building the business credit on all of our businesses. And we're always starting new companies. And of course, the very first thing is it needs to grow business credit. And so we needed something that was easy for anybody to understand and follow, a very simple step-by-step process that was fast and effective. Now, what I'm going to show you here today is more specifically how to build your business credit without using a personal guarantee. If you have good personal credit, there's a right way to use that and the wrong way to use that. If you have good personal credit, it can be the gasoline for the fire to really explode your funding. But if done the wrong way, it can really come back to burn you. So if you're looking at using your social security number to get some credit cards, some credit lines, or some funding for your business, give us a call, 888-524-9273, so we can make sure that you do it the right way. We offer these free consultations to just try to limit how many people are out there getting burned. But let's talk about what it looks like if you want to leave your personal credit out of the situation, or maybe you're in a position to you don't have a 680, 720, maybe you're in the process of repairing your personal credit. Whatever the situation is, you still are going to need business credit in order to move forward effectively. And it starts with the building of your business credibility. Now, as you see here, there are 7 steps. Step 1 is business credibility. Step 2 is establishing your business reports. Step 3 is starting the building process. And we're going to go into each of these in depth today for you. And I'm going to try to get this done in the next 22 minutes. We have monitoring of your business reports, and then 3 more tiers of building. Let's take a quick look at what that looks like in this first step. You got to get a good business name. You're going to have to find a business name that is not representing something that is in a prohibited industry or high-risk industry. You also we also like business names that really allow for some flexibility because your business could morph, it could change over time. And you don't want to pigeonhole yourself into one specific industry or one specific type of business. Now, for marketing purposes, you can always create what's known as a DBA, doing business as, and then that is an opportunity for you to really customize to your industry type. But in our program here, we have, some informational trainings on why your business name is important. And then you can search the Secretary of State records right here. So let's say that you have a business. I mean, we always deal with Arizona, but let's do to a state that I've never been to before. Okay, let's say I want to start a business in Utah. All right, well, all I have to do is click the Utah button. It immediately takes me directly to the Utah. Um, this looks like their Secretary of State, but it's the Division of Corporations and Commercial Code. So right there, instantly, within 5 seconds, we were taken to the business search inside the Division of Corporations and Commercial Code. I may have first started with the Secretary of State. That's usually where I go. And then if the state has a corporation commission, then I go there. And then from there, if there's a specific division, and so this could take time. Literally, if the first time trying to find the business name directory, it may take me 20, 30 minutes. I mean, it just depends. So not only are we working on streamlining the process, but making it quicker for you. And all you have to do is, let's say your business is, I don't know, there we go. This is a company, 1725 Holding. Let's say that that's what you want to actually start. Hey, looks to be available. There we go. Quite easy process. Now, the other thing is you want to look at the restricted industries and make sure that your name is not showing up on this list. Now, when I say your name, you don't want a business name that, if you're dry cleaners, you don't want it to be, Dan's Dry Cleaners. You could be Dan Enterprises, and then you have a DBA as like Spick and Span Cleaning or Dan's Dry Cleaners. But the key here is that we're wanting to get past the gatekeeper. And so as I go through all these steps here, I'm going to show you that all these little things are to get past that computer underwriter. You want to get your application in the door, because every single lender, every application for potential credit has a gatekeeper, and you have to bypass that in order to even be, before they will even entertain your account or even give you the option. Now, I'm not going to go in depth on each and every step here, but you're going to have to next move into business address. And then there's other resources that you definitely want to have a office presence. And what do you do if you don't have an office presence? Well, you got to get a good physical address for your business, and you can't be using a PO box number. Next is the business entity. To truly build your business credit, you're going to have a separate entity of some type. It has to be a legal entity. It could be an LLC, it could be an S Corp, it could be a C Corp, it could be a nonprofit organization. After you figure out what type of entity, then you're actually going to want to file. Now, I always recommend that you get the services of an attorney involved, especially if this is your first company. If you're moving forward, and then you're just using a paralegal in the attorney's office to get set up. I just try to always stay away from services like LegalZoom, things like that, because after you do all the filings, after all the fees, you're only saving maybe at $100 or $200. But if you're not familiar with the process of creating and starting up a business, which I see a lot of times, something that folks miss when they're setting up the business themselves, is in the filing paperwork with the county or the state, they don't do the public notices. And so a lot of times you actually need to set up the public notice for 2 to 4 weeks, where you're in a local newspaper or a local directory that has all of those public listings. Now, you might be thinking, well, why is that important? Well, that protects the corporate veil. And if you were to ever come into any type of legal situation, it doesn't take a genius corporate attorney to pierce that veil if there's some processes and some steps to creating that separation. Because why are we starting businesses? We're starting businesses to create a separation from yourself and protection, liability, and if it's not done right, then we did it all for nothing. Next, we're going to move into step 1.5, which would be your business phone number. And you don't want to be using a cell phone number, any free services online. You want to actually have a phone number that is able to be registered to your business and listed in the National Business Directory, the National 411 Directory, to be more specific. Organically used to be put into this listing, but now you actually have to make sure that your profile is correct and get yourself in there. And you may be thinking, well, I have my Facebook account, I have my Google account. All of those are easy to change and manipulate, even Google searches. So what lenders are looking for is they're looking for that old-fashioned business registry that's been around for a very long time. And so you need to be there as well, which most businesses that are getting started today don't actually think about being in that directory. Next, you're going to want to make sure that you have a good website. Now, a website can definitely help you in the process of building business credit. So if you're going to have a website, make sure all the information on there is correct. Make sure your address is correct. We talked about address for a second earlier in the process of building your business credit, having a good address. What I see a lot of times is on websites, people don't have an address because it's their home address. So what do you do in that situation? Well, you really want to look at the different options out there, and you don't want to be using a UPS store or something like that. You want to use an actual location. The same thing applies to your website. You want to have the right setup, but you also don't want to be hiding your information. So on your website, you also have your phone number. You also have your email address. Because imagine this, if I want to borrow money from you, I want to I'm sure you would want to know where I live or how to find me. And so the more resources that you can provide a lender as far as ways for them to be able to find you, the more the bigger level of comfort they're going to have in lending to you. So we need to let these lenders know exactly where we are, how to find us, and that matches across the board, that we don't have discrepancies. One site says this is my information, another site says this is my information. We want to make sure everything lines up perfectly. Another huge aspect of credibility, because that's what we're doing as we go through these steps, is building your credibility, is getting a business license. If you don't have a business license, you can easily get a business license from the county, the city, the state that you're doing business in. Now, it may not be required, but it's good to have all the required documents, but also the optional business licenses, because having a business license is a huge aspect of credibility. Many lenders, many starter accounts are starting to request that you have some type of documentation that shows you're able to operate business in your city. And so you want to make sure you do that. I've seen some business licenses as cheap as $15 a year. It just depends. And when you're actually going through our program, for example, you're like, I don't even know where to start. Well, we have resources on each page for, hey, here's city applications. This site will help you see if there is some licensing requirements in your city or state and how to actually go through applying for that. All right, next, you want to make sure you have a business bank account. If you don't have a business bank account, then you need to get one set up. There's free options out there. There's business accounts with small monthly fees. It just depends. You want to figure out a bank that you can actually work with, because moving forward in the funding of your business, it's going to be important that you have that account set up and that you've also maintained a good standing on that business as well.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
How important is it to do everything in the order you're saying? Because what if we have a client who set up their business, maybe home address, and went and opened a business bank account? They didn't do any of the other stuff. Can they go back? What happens if they open up a virtual office? I mean, what can you give some insight into that?
So the process of going through this systematically is the way that it needs to be done, because as you get the address, as you get the business name, as you do the filings, you're going to need that moving forward for the other items on the list. If you do it out of order, then usually what happens is that you're missing certain aspects of information, or most commonly what ends up happening is you have to go back and correct a lot of these, which can actually take extra time and money. For example, if you didn't set up the address the right way the first time, then you got to go back and correct that. And let's say that you already have it filed with the state, you already have your business account set up, you already have it on documentations, your website. You're going to now have to go back through your website, the bank, the IRS, the Secretary of State. You're going to have to refile with everybody, and the state loves to charge fees. So I know in Arizona, I mean, it's like $45 just to make that change. If you get an attorney involved, that's going to be $125. And so the fees and the time starts racking up, especially with the state of the economy right now. And as things are being shut down and staff is being limited at all of basically every state, the county, everything is taking much longer now. And so that is another issue is, hey, I'm on the process. I need to get my credit built. I'm going to start getting my accounts. I already got a business set up. Fantastic. Well, as we go back and look, it may take 30 days, 45 days just to go back and correct all the issues. So if you already have a business, let's get it done now before you keep moving any further along. If you don't have a business, make sure you work with us now to get it done the right way so you don't have to go back in the future to correct these. A lot of times what I see is people start a business and they say, okay, well, I'll incorporate after we get some money rolling, after we do this or that. And so what ends up happening is you get mixed up in the operations of the business and out there making money doing what you have to do. And I've seen folks 10, 15 years into the operation of their business, and they say, oh, you know what, I keep thinking about it. I got to start this LLC. I got to get around to this. And then when they actually do, they're like, okay, now I got this LLC. Let me get some funding. And I said, well, unfortunately, you know, you have been operating a sole proprietor for 10 years, but as far as your actual company, it's a brand new company and it'll be treated as one. And so that's where it starts to get a little hard, is if you have the opportunity to get in the right way before you actually build your business, excellent, do it. Learn from the experience of others. But if you've already gotten there, now you have to backtrack a little bit, well, excellent. Let's make sure that you do that now. Don't wait any longer, because the longer you wait, the harder it will be. And if you have to go back and backtrack, at least work with us so we can make sure you get it done quickly. Because if you go back and try to fix each and everything on your own, it could take 6, 7 months to try to actually get that done. Follow the system step by step, walk you through the whole process. You also get to work with our support team. And so we have financial advisors, we got loan officers, we have just assistance that you can get at any aspect. I mean, you want to contact us, we have all of our contact information in there. You want to submit a help request, you can upload forms and submit it through that way. There's a lot of aspects to working with us. I usually look at this like doing your taxes. You can literally bust out the paper forms, walk through it and do it by hand. Or you could get TurboTax, or you could get a CPA. If you do it on your own, you're going to have that knowledge, and it's going to just take time. So it comes down to the point is how much time do you actually want to spend on it? So hopefully that kind of answered your question. All right, so next, after you take care of your business bank account, we want to move into the merchant account. Even if you don't process payments on the daily, you're still going to want to have a merchant account set up, because there's going to become a time when you actually need it. So if you get it done get it done and set up, that way when you do need to process it, it's not, oh, I just set up this account and I'm running a transaction. Get it set up, that way it's not going to be a shock to the system. And then we go back through after you finish, this is all just step one. We'll go back through step one, wrap it all up. You're inputting your information into our system so our team can go alongside with you and make sure that everything is staying on track. After you get your business in the credibility state or a credible state, then we want to move on to establishing your business reports. Just very similar to your personal credit, there is TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, the big three bureaus that report on your personal credit. The way that they're able to report is that you have a file with the IRS and the U.S. government, and you have a signed Social Security number, or a there's a couple different variations of that, but for the most part, you have a Social Security number that's attached to your personal entity as you as a person. Now, that's why we create separate entities, but just like the birth of a child, a birth of a business needs to go through the paperwork and documentations, except for on a business, there's not really a nurse or somebody sitting there to make sure that you get these paperworks filed with the business. So you have to go through Dun&Bradstreet, which is the largest credit bureau on the business credit side. You need to have a DUNS number with them. You also need that DUNS number in order to build business credit. So you need two things. You need an EIN number from the IRS, and then you also need a DUNS number from Dun & Bradstreet. Now, going through Dun & Bradstreet, you can access these numbers for free. However, Dun & Bradstreet will make that a little bit difficult for you because they know that they have market share. And so they're going to, I typically see anywhere from $500 to $2,000 is what people end up spending with Dun & Bradstreet, but we can help you and walk you through that process so it doesn't cost you anything. Next, we'll look at business Experian, business Equifax, but then also, what do you do if you have a name that was similar to somebody else? Well, how do you correct some inaccuracies that are on a business credit report and you just started business? So what do you go through that process? Because there's no fair credit report that protects businesses. So it's an entirely different process than your personal credit. And so we help you as far as understanding what you need to do to go through that process. After you have your business set up the right way, you have your reporting bureau set up, you got your Dun & Bradstreet account, then you can actually go through and start, applying for accounts. And I'm just going to click on this one here, and we're going to talk about uline. What do you actually do? Well, if you've been following through the system, it's going to say that you're pre-qualified. And it'll also say not recommended if you're not fully there yet. So Uline, what is it? Here's the phone number for Uline. We have, here's their website. They report to Dun & Bradstreet and Business Experian. Uline is the leading distributor of shipping, industrial, packaging materials, industrial and janitorial products. Then what do you actually need to qualify? So you need to have an entity in good standing with the Secretary of State. You need to have an EIN number with the IRS, business address that matches everywhere, Dun & Bradstreet number, business license, business bank account, business phone number that is listed in the 411 directory. Application may be approved for a net 30 at the time of order. Upon final review, credit department may change for free prepaid orders before net 30 is granted. Typically what we see, if this is the situation, if you have a business that you set up in another state and you're trying to ship across state lines for any reason, just to give you an example, like Delaware. Delaware has a way that you can set up businesses, or Wyoming, where it offers a lot of anonymity, where you identity protection. So you don't really know who the officers of the company are. The trouble with that is, yes, that helps you on being able to hide, but like we said, the whole process of this, of building credit, is you can't do both at one time. You can't hide, but then ask for money. That's a very difficult thing to do. So the reason we set it up the right way and not necessarily using our home address or this or cell phone numbers, things like that, is because we're putting everything out there and we want to have it set up the right way. By doing so, lenders are going to feel better about that. And what I was saying is, with these states that offer identity protection, many times you could live in a different state. I know people that live in, Nevada, and they've started a company in Wyoming, and then they're trying to build business credit, and a lender can't find anybody on the documents for who actually owns this company. And the company's set up in Wyoming, the address is Wyoming, but now you're wanting a credit line to ship product to Nevada. You get where I'm going with this? It seems a little bit iffy. The question is, would you take that risk? Probably not. Without Well, you want to take it without asking for their social security number or requiring them to prepay several months before you actually offer it. So you go through this and you set up these accounts. You're going to want to get 6 accounts set up this way. Now, these accounts are powerful because you can get these without using your social security number. You can get well, let me correct that. There are some identity verifications, but as far as personally guaranteeing the debt, you're going to be building the debt on the EIN number, not building the debt on your social security number. That way you're leaving your personal self out of this situation. All right, so you go through here, you apply for this, and this is exactly how to apply. Create the account, place the order, select net 30 terms. The credit department will review your account. The terms are net 30. Net 30 is simply you get the product, you have 30 days to pay it back. And this is very important because you can't be late. You have to actually pay a little bit early. I recommend on a net 30 account making sure that payment is in there on day 22. Don't be any later because there's a chance that the check or the payment could process late. And if you're a lender or a company and you're taking a gamble on a new company and you're not getting their social security number or anything like that, and they're a day late, you don't know if they're going to be a day late, 20 days late, 30 days late, but you're going to start reporting that they are late. And this is different from your personal credit because on personal credit, you could go about 30 days late before it actually shows up as a negative. 1 day late on business credit can ruin the whole thing for at least 3 years. So nothing else matters except the fact that you make your payments on time. That's also the benefit to doing business credit. As you go through this whole process of building business credit, the great thing is that it's very simple to do if you follow the steps. So like we said, going through the credibility, establishing your reports, building your business credit. After you do that, you're going to want to monitor your reports. We have a monitoring section in here, and then 3 more rounds of building credit. So this is store cards, this is vendor accounts, this is fleet credit where you can maintain vehicles, or gas cards, vehicle financing. But we walk you through the whole process. And as you see here, as you complete steps, it will check that off. And then so this company here is in round 2 of building credit. And the great thing about all this is it's easy to follow and it'll keep track of your data for you. And as you come to the end of it, you're going to be able to have at least $50,000 in business credit lines and vendor accounts, trade lines. And then as you have 14 accounts that report on all the bureaus across the board, then you're able to actually go out there and start applying for credit. Now, the important part about doing all of this systematically is the way that you're going to get there is we go back now to, say, the Amazon account that you set up in step 2, and they gave you $10,000. Well, it starts by converting that account into a Visa account, but it won't do that unless you built those 14 accounts. And the 14 accounts are going to be just built over time. That's why we say about 6 to 12 months. Inquiries don't matter, so you can actually build it as fast as they can report. That's what I love about business credit. And the other thing is too, like I said, payments. That's the only thing that matters, that you paid your bills and you pay them on time. Inquiries don't matter. The limits, like how much of your utilization, that doesn't have a factor. If you have nothing but brand new credit, that doesn't matter as well. It comes down to just your payment history. So if you go through, you set up 14 accounts, get them all paid, and usually it's about a $50 purchase, anywhere from $50 to $100 of what's required. You got to get 14 of those in the course of a year. And then you're going to be able to gain access to huge lines of cash credit, which are the Visas, the MasterCards, the American Expresses. And folks, that's really the process that you have to go through to building credit without using your social security number. And I'm just going to go ahead and open it up to see if anybody has any questions. We've kind of come to the end of our time today, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Anything about the process of building business credit, systematically. You can also, like I said earlier, go over to wiseguysandties.com.
I
And
was, can you hear me, Ray?
Yep.
I was working with Silver Crow on YouTube, and he had a question about starting a business at his home. So the way I figured it is he's kind of renting now, but I think he has the option to buy from his landlord and wants to use like a credit banking strategy to do all that. But what I was telling him was you want to pick an address that you can live at for a while. But what are your thoughts on using a home address as your place of business?
Well, there's pros and cons to the situation. The trouble is if you're not going to be there for a long time, you're going to have to do a lot of document change. Um, if you also have a business at your home that you're going to be there for a long period of time, they will also limit your amounts, because what typically happens is a business that operates out of an office versus a business that operates out of the house. The business that operates out of the office needs a lot more capital to operate. And so the credit lines are going to be much greater. The accounts limits are going to be much greater. Does not mean that you can't build business credit at your home. There's just going to be a limit to how much you can actually do. And then it comes down to, the type of business, and if you want to be sharing your personal address out there for everybody to be able to see. The benefit to having an office spot, and one of those situations could be a virtual office. So if you're saying, well, hey, Ray, I don't have like $5,000 to take out a lease, build out the lease, put some office equipment in there, fantastic. Go with a virtual office or an executive office place. If you need a place to work, looking at an office share type situation. But by doing so and using this as your address, there's some pros there, because when you file with Dun& Bradstreet, and somebody were to search your business, a Google map pops up. And so it'll be the difference between an address that's an office location, a commercial address, or it will be or be your home. And so lenders are going to be looking at that, and they are always looking, they're old school. They're looking for fax numbers. They're looking for, an office location. And the great thing about that is, yes, you may be sharing that location with other folks, but statistically, less than 25% of businesses actually have some level of business credit. Most people think that they have business credit as far as, they have a credit card, but most of the time they ended up using their social security number, and it could potentially report on both bureaus. So to really sum that up, if you have to kind of weigh the pros and cons of it. And I would say that if you have the ability, go out there and look for a local executive suite, someplace that you can collect your mail, use as your address, because it won't change as you move locations. And many times it costs the same as a PO box would. Now, you don't want to use a PO box because that's not recognized by many institutions. Also, UPS stores. You don't want to use a UPS store, mailbox, etc., and just get a post box there. You want to find somebody that has an office, that they have a receptionist there that could receive packages, handle mail. And I mean, we have some that I think it's like the cheapest one we have is like $30 a month. And we're allowed to use that address. Mail comes there, packages come there. We have states too that they literally can just forward us the mail for like $10 a month. It's very simple to get set
So,
up. And
Ray, I want to run this by you. I just had this thought. Never actually talked to you about it, but if somebody has a business and it's a home-based business and they've been in business for 3, maybe even 5 years, I really don't think at that point a home-based business is going to hurt them if they're already established by 3 to 5 years. However, if you're looking at the fastest way to get as much business credit as possible, I agree with you. I think that if you start with a home-based business right out of the gate, you're really handcuffing yourself. You're because you're going to grow very slow until the lenders see that you've been established. I just had this thought and I wanted to bounce it off of you, see what you think about that.
no, I fully agree with you, because what it is if we're looking at starting up a business, going back and building a credibility, there's those factors that go into getting funding. There's credit, either personal or business or both. There's cash flow, which is revenue coming in, and collateral, which is assets that your business owns. But on the other side, there's also some of these other ones that we don't talk about: character and capacity. And so capacity is really your ability to pay back, your ability to operate. Now, if you've been in business and you've had a track record for 5 years, that strength can overcome some weaknesses. So if you're starting a business, it's best to go to an office situation. If you have been operating a business for a couple of years now, then it's kind of one of those things that we just would have to see. You'd have to go through and apply for accounts. And then if you were to run into any type of situation where all of a sudden you're seeing a holdup on that, then we can move from there. But if you already have an established home-based business at your home address that's been operating for a few years, then yeah, keep moving forward until you can't.
Well said.
Perfect. Great question, though. So here on our website, you can also get a free 4-step guide. We'll email it straight over to you. Here's some articles, how to sign up for a consultation. We have video testimonials here that you can do as well. And like I said, we got our books here. You can come check out our books that we got going on. And then our weekly events. So today is how to build business credit. On Tuesdays, we do at the same time your business credit and how to actually go through the process of using your social security number to get access to funds. Credit banking mastermind, where you can eliminate your debt in 1/3 the time. That is on Tuesday nights. And then tonight, tune in to the Zoom calls and YouTube, where we will be going over some real estate investing strategies in our real estate investing mastermind. So you don't want to miss that out. And if you're watching us on YouTube and this is your first time coming by us, make sure you like and subscribe. That way you can get all of our updates. So hit the notification. And I believe that that takes us to the end of the day. And I do not see any other questions right now. Or do you see any on YouTube, Mr. Smith?
No, we're good.
All right, perfect. Well, my name is Ray Fleming, and we also have my partner, Joseph Smith. Even though I realize my Zoom handle looks like Joseph Smith, I like to be Joseph Smith, because who out there doesn't want to be Joseph Smith? All right, well, I want to say, go out there, take care of each other. Let us help you out, build your business credit. Reach out to us. You can find more about our program here on our pricing page. I want to just say good night and God bless.
Good night.